Hello my fellow hookers, Dr. Crochet here again. Just wanted to give you a quick tutorial on some tools we use in crochet. Here we have a tape measure. Mine is retractable. It measures in both inches and yards. Easily obtained on Amazon. Some scissors. These are just cheap craft scissors that I bought at Walmart. They're not my go-to. My go-to are Fiskars. And I recommend Fiskars or Ginger. These were just some quick ones that I pulled out of the cup that I use. Here we have a hook. This is a 5mm. You'll use whatever hook your pattern calls for, or whatever yarn that you're using calls for if you're freestyling it. And then we have stitch markers. These are locking stitch markers. As you can see, they're like a little safety pin, and they just lock like this, and they stay nice and secure so that they don't fall out of your work. Now, a lot of people use a scrap of yarn or some of the open circle stitch markers. I prefer the locking ones because the open circle ones and the scraps of yarn tend to fall out when you get to working with your piece a lot. A little bit more about hooks. Let me show you another hook that I have here. This is also a 5mm. See if you can see that. This one is a Boy brand. I also have Bates. These were the original ones I started with. They're aluminum. They're not plastic. They're not acrylic. They're not steel. They're aluminum. And they work well for that beginning crocheter, the one, that just does it here and there, a little bit here, a little bit there. But for the avid crocheter, I really recommend that you get ergonomic hooks. These are much easier on your hands, especially for someone like myself who has arthritis. This keeps the pain and the inflammation in my fingers and my hands down so that I don't hurt after a long day of crocheting. Sometimes I can crochet for up to 8-10 hours a day, and these keep my hands from hurting. A little more about scissors. Like I said before, my go-to are Ginger or Fiskars. I have both brands. These were just cheap craft Westcotts from Walmart. They were $4. And I grabbed these just because they were smaller and easier to show in the video. They're not overly sharp. You have to really make sure you're holding your yarn tight to cut it with. Let me show you my Ginger snips. These are snips. They're extremely sharp. I got used to using these when I worked for the textile mill. I worked in a towel plant as a supervisor. And in quality control, you use these. And they recommend Ginger brand. You can see the Ginger logo there. They are all steel, stainless steel. They don't rust. They stay very sharp for a very long time. So they don't need to be sharpened very often. Matter of fact, I can't ever recall sharpening a pair of Gingers. I know we did at the mill, but we were, going through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of towels a day, snipping threads and snipping loops and things of that nature, snipping tags. And a little bit about tape measures. Now, you don't have to get a retractable. You can get a tailor's tape, which is just one of those cloth ones that's rolled up, made out of cloth or fiberglass, and it measures about, I think, 60 inches or so. This one is 120 inches, and I specifically bought a 120 inch so that I could measure large blankets without having to pull out a certain way, stop, pull the tape down and measure a little bit more. I can measure it all at one time. 120 inches will do a California King. And you can measure just about anything you would ever need with a 120-inch tape. This one is a Fons and Porter. It has an attachment to go on a lanyard, which I keep it on a lanyard so I can keep it around my neck. I highly recommend a retractable because they're just much easier to use. And they keep things much neater, and so you don't have your bag in a mess all the time, or you're not trying to fumble around with a tape that's unrolling or unraveling. You just pull out what you need, just like this, and it retracts just as easily. Now, that's been a tools tutorial by Dr. Crochet. Happy hooking and enjoy your crochet.